Good morning. Good morning all. Welcome to the 27th of June 2024 Council meeting. One of the big parts of the meeting is the sign of the long-term plan today. I'd just like to welcome councillors, CE staff and people online. We've got everybody online, Robin, Len, and is Gary hasn't arrived? Okay. I'd just like to start with asking Dali to do a Karakia. Thank you.
So this morning's Karakia has a flavour of matariki, and we extend best wishes to everyone for good health for the new year, especially to Mia Len and to Robin, whose son is not very well at the moment. Manawa Maya te putanga o matariki, manawa Maya te ariki o te rangi, Manawa Maya e te mātahi o te tau, whānau, haramai te tōki ata, hua ki rangi, haumie, huie, taihie. Celebrate the rising of Matariki, celebrate the Lord of the skies, celebrate the new year, unite, and bring forth the dawn. Together in union we are one.
Thank you. Thank you, Dali. Just call for apologies. I have only Gary.
Yeah, Gary sends his apologies. He's stuck in KL.
Okay. Can we move for the apologies, please? Rika, seconder, Dali, all in favour? Aye. Thank you. Public forum. There's no public forum today. So we'll go on to item 1.4, items not on the agenda. And just a quick one here that there's been a duplication in 2.7. When we get to that, we'll see that's around 351 pages of the agenda. Conflicts of interest?
Yeah, I declare conflict of interest in the public excluded, section 4.2.
Thank you, John. Okay, we're moving on to 1.6 minutes for receiving and confirmation. Ariana?
Yes, through the chair. I suggest that we take recommendations 1 and 2 first, which is to receive the report and receive the committee and community board minutes.
Okay, so we'll take that recommendation. So looking at on page 5, the recommendation 1 and 2. So to receive the minutes for receiving and confirmation reported date 12th of June. And receives the following minutes from the community board meetings and committee meetings. Can I have a mover, please? John, thank you. Seconder? John Grant. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. We will now go through the recommendations or resolutions one by one. And we'll start with 3. Approves the risk and assurance recommendation from the meeting held on the 23rd of May 2024, agrees with the Local Government Funding Agency Limited 2024-27 draft statement of intent, and B, agrees with the CoLab 2024-27 draft statement of intent. Just do 3 or 3, yeah. So can we have a move? Yeah, move. Rika, seconder. Thank you, Martin. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Number 4, approves the Thames-Coromandel Board's recommendation for the meeting held 5th of June 2024. A, approves a new deed of lease with the Thames Business Association Incorporated for part of the Thames Civic Building, identified in Area A, located at 200 May Street, Thames, as shown on the following items. Initial term of 3 years, commencement date 1 July 2024, rights of renewal 2 terms of 3 years. Final expiry date 30th of June 2033, $350 plus GST in accordance with the Council's community leases and licenses to occupy rental. Permitted use used for a tourist information centre, outgoings, TCD rates, building insurance and electricity based on the area leased. And we go over the page. Delegates the negotiation of a new agreement with the aged concerned Thames-Coromandel for Area B, formerly subleased to them by Destination Coromandel Trust of the Thames Civic Centre to the Chief Executive. C, approves the request by the Karakia Valley Trust to enter into a memorandum of understanding. Do we have a mover? Again, Martin, Daly. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Number 5, approves
Hang
the
on,
title.
excuse me, Mr. Chair. Obviously the spelling error on the street name will be corrected because we're talking about a property at 200 Mary Street, not 200 May Street.
Thank you for that. We will make that correction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Number 5, approves the Thames-Coromandel Community Board recommendation for a meeting held on the 10th of June 2024. Approves the final right of renewal on 1 year from 1 July 2024 to 30 June 2025 to the Paranui Business Association for a lease of part of the Paranui Hub located at 23 Centre Way, Paranui. B, enters into a new lease for the Tairo Community Hall, incorporated in accordance with the Section 61(2)(a) of the Reserves Act 1977 for the buildings outlined below and located at 210 Main Street, Tairo, on the following terms. An initial term of 4 years, commencement date 1 June 2024, expiry date 31 May 2028, right of renewal 2 years, 2 terms of 3 years, final expiry 31 May 2034. Annual rent $350 plus GST. Rent renewal every 3 years on renewal. TCDC rates, utilities and services to be in relation to the premises. That's the outgoings. Permitted use for the purpose of a community hall facility. Can I have a mover for that, please? Daly. Seconder. Have we got a seconder? Martin. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. We're going to number 6 now. Approves the Coromandel Colville Community Board recommendations for a meeting held on the 11th of June 2024. A, request the Chief Executive to prepare a report for Council to consider a speed limit reduction for the Tutarawera Road, Little Bay area in accordance with proposed scheme, subject to detailed design, and for the works to commence as soon as possible. B, delegates the Chief Executive and staff powers to confirm the specific terms and conditions of the licence to occupy and to enter into an agreement on behalf of the Council. Do we have a mover?
I'll have to move that.
Thank you. Seconder, Daly. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Number 7, approves the Mercury Bay Community Board recommendation for a meeting held on the 12th of June 2024. A, approves expression of interest for the Whitianga Information Centre Charitable Trust to operate the Whitianga Information Centre with the current rate of funding as per the 2024-34 long-term plan and retain the current KPIs, key performance indicators for the funding contract. B, approves the final right of renewal of 5 years from 1 July 2024 to 30 June 2029 to Mercury Bay Rugby Club Incorporated for the lease of the building footprint and the adjacent car park at 86D Albert Street, Whitianga, Lloyd Park, as outlined in the below map. C, grants a licence to occupy to the current and future owners of 107G Grange Road on the following terms. The term, 99 years, transferable to subjective owners. Commencement to be confirmed following approval of report by Council. The fee, $1. Special conditions. Licence terminable by Council on 3 months' notice. D, delegates to the Chief Executive powers to confirm the specific terms and conditions of the licence to occupy and to enter an agreement on behalf of the Council.
I'm happy to move that.
Moved by Rika, seconded by Daly. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And number 8, confirms the Thames-Coromandel District Council minutes for the meeting held on the 30th of April 2024, 21 and 22 May 2024 and 30th of June 2024. And the attachments there underneath. Would you like to read the attachments? You can read the attachments and see them and understand those attachments?
Yeah.
Okay. Will I have a mover?
Aye.
Again, John and Dally, second.
Terry.
Yes. Yeah, discussion.
Discussion. I have a query around on page 79 on the unconfirmed minutes of the 21st and 22nd of May.
Yeah.
At the bottom of page 79, Councillor Rodney moved a motion to include the addition of additional operational expenditure of 64,000 over 3 years for the installation of dog play equipment at the Burke Street Reserve, including associated drainage works, etc., to be locally funded, and seconded by Councillor Revel.
Yep.
My recollection was that we approved that. And when I look at the paper that we have coming in later, it's actually included in the paper coming in later that it was an addition to the LTP. And so it seems,
I do think we
so
did.
my recollection was we did.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the replay of the thing, but my recollection is we did approve it. And in the report
Yeah.
where we're being asked to
It's lost.
adopt the LTP, it refers in the report to the fact that that 64,000 is in there. So I'm querying whether the minutes are accurate.
Right. So from memory, and I'll just have to check this, but from memory, I think you're correct, but we'll have to check this.
Can I speak to that? So Brian's just gone away and listened to the recording, and Councillor Revel's absolutely right. It is exactly as you recall it.
Yeah. So we will make that change, and obviously that means that the motion was actually won, not lost. If you're happy to make that change,
Yep, I will. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
we'll make that correction.
Can we rediscuss this when we get to the LTP item?
Yeah.
Yep.
Happy? Okay. John.
Deputy Mayor, page 67, just another correction that is needed in regard to the vote on destination Karakia-Coromandel. It's indicating that Councillor Rodley voted twice.
67.
67.
Yeah, that is a correction. It's got his name in twice. Yeah.
Oh, it's got his name.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you, John. Thank you. We'll make that a correction, and thank you for raising it. Okay, so with those adjustments and corrections, I'd like to now move number 8, and that confirms the Thames-Coromandel District Council minutes for the meeting held on 30th of April 2024, 21 and 22 May 2024, and 13th of June 2024. Do I have a mover? John and Peter.
With that amendment. Yep.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay. Right, let's just keep moving on here. We're going to page external committee minutes for receiving on page 95. Right. Let's get organised here. Okay, so if we go to page 95 and the recommendations that the Thames-Coromandel District Council receives the external committee meetings for receiving reported date 12th of June 2024, receives the following minutes from external committee meetings. 10th of June 2024, the Karakia Golf Forum. 22 April 2024, hearings subcommittee, Regional Transport Committee. 13th of May 2024, hearings subcommittee, Regional Transport Committee. And the 15th of March 2024, the Karakia Scheme Subcommittee. I'd like to move all those at once. Do we have a mover for those, please? Thank you, John. Any seconder? Rika, thank you. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Great, we're ticking along. Okay, so now we're going to move to page 129, which is the adoption of the 2024-34 long-term plan and the 2024-25 schedule of fees and charges. We'll ask Leslie, Kate and Hayden come forward. Kath, sorry. Kath, not Kate, Kath.
Do you want me to just a brief intro?
Yeah, certainly. Just ask Aileen just to give us an intro into this. Thank you.
Yeah, so just by way of intro, while this, to many, this will feel like a bureaucratic action to approve another plan, it's actually the end of a good 18 months of work. And if we cast our minds back to late 2022, when we had pretty much a new council, and I know half of the councillors hadn't done an LTP before, and we started out thinking about all our aspirational, all the aspirations we had for the coming term. We had a really good Christmas break, having dreamed big, and then of course we were hit by two things, Cyclone Gabriel and also a late audit from the 2022 year. And in fact, that audit began on the day one of the declared emergency that we had for Cyclone Gabriel. Meanwhile, we were still trying to do the long-term plan. So to get through the cyclones, we all recall we had all of that money we had to push out to the community through the Economic Development Fund. We had two audits overlapping each other. And then we had all the changes with the Three Waters legislation that, you know, the Three Waters was out and then it was back in again. To be here in a position to adopt on time, having suffered the events of the North Island weather events, having had all of the audit complications that we had, is a pretty remarkable feat by both elected members and the staff involved. And dare I say, audit have also really done some hard yards for us in the last couple of weeks to get us through the audit process. So just to be here today is really something. So yeah, massive thank you to everyone who's contributed to that being able to happen. And I will hand over to staff, noting that we do have a few imperfections we just need to out before we can get on to the adoption.
Thank you, Aileen. Welcome. It has been a big, long journey, but we're getting close to your part of it being ended and somebody else gets a shovel to start something. So away you go, just help us, walk us through it.
Good morning, councillors. First of all, I would like to say thank you from us all. You've walked the walk with us these last 18 months, and we thank you for your support, for your patience through many hours of workshops. Yeah, and we're here today, warts and all. The report is here for your consideration. I want to note, as you alluded to earlier, there is an item at page 132, which is not, I have in my report said it's included in the OPEX expenditure. That is an error. It is not. And that is on page 132, the bullet include the following additional OPEX. And then it's the the fourth bullet down, the $64,000 over 3 years for the installation of dog play equipment in the Burke Street Reserve. That is not included in the budgets. So unfortunately, we would recommend that that's actually an error. You did vote for it. So I think that the best way forward would be for you to revoke your decision from the deliberations meeting, and to acknowledge that the error in my report, and that we include another recommendation today to bring an out of cycle report to you, to ask for this to be included in the long-term plan.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion for that?
Yeah, we're writing something up for you as we speak. Our auditors have advised that this is the best way to proceed. We won't be able to adopt today if we don't follow those procedures.
Okay. Peter.
because it's not in our budgets.
So just for clarity, I'm checking my understanding. The LTP does not include that 64,000 figure. The item in here shouldn't have been in here or something like that. Or it should have been in here, but the figures wasn't included in the thing, so that we should adopt the LTP as it stands,
Yes.
knowing that there is going to be an resolution for an out-of-cycle budget request for the 64,000,
Yes.
etc. Okay, thank you.
John.
But your decision that was made on the 22nd of May will need to be revoked to keep everything clean.
Yeah, John.
Can I just clarify something else? In relation to this, if I recall, was to be added as a local rate charge. If we do this now as an out of cycle, will that still be a local rate charge?
It will be funded locally.
Delhi.
I think it's just a typo on page 134 where it talks about the refuse transfer station revenue, and then adjustment to solid waste, OPEX budget, paragraph 2, for the same period, the refuse transfer revenues have seen an increase in revenue, and I'm just wondering if that word is meant to be stations. Hayden's not in.
Paragraph 2, would you say?
Yeah.
Main reason for the short form.
I mean,
Yeah, it should say refuse stations.
Refuse
yeah,
stations.
yeah, just a little nitpick.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Dowdy. So Leslie, have we got that motion? Do you want to do now, or you want to carry on talking through
Yes,
the
Kath, it's
adjustments?
Yeah, so I can continue to talk. You also note attached to the report is an attachment that shows some changes to the performance framework. That we have been, through the audit, there have come changes. I've also tabled further changes that have come through audit to that draft LTP that you saw. So we can put the final draft up on the screen. We don't have printouts if you wanted to see it, but those are the changes that we've made.
That's in this paper here.
Yes, and there are some other changes in the attachment to this report. But as you appreciate, the audit has been ongoing right through this process.
Anything highlights in there that we need to understand before anything in there that's, that's sticking out that we should know?
No, I noted that we've got 2 additional assumptions in there.
Yes.
But there have been some further disclosures in the performance framework just to clarify things for our ratepayers and our community. I wouldn't say there's anything major in there.
Right.
So the auditor's recommendations are in red
Yes.
in this. Thank you.
And we've accepted all of those there in the current draft, the final draft LTP.
Okay. Anything else?
We have got a draft opinion from the auditors.
Yes.
I think you've been advised of that yesterday. Once that's signed, that will go into the LTP as well.
Right.
That's signed.
Yeah.
And the last thing to say is that we are preparing comms around all of this. Elected members will receive a cheat sheet with some facts that you might like to share with your communities.
Right.
There'll be a news release following adoption. And that is about all I have to say, bar the recommendations in the resolutions.
Right. Okay, so do you want to do the motion before we go to the recommendations?
Yes, well, I think you could receive the report. I think Kath has...
Just trying to find the minute.
Ari, do you have the page with the minutes, that minute on it?
The one
Yeah, there has to be a report.
that's not the Freehold page?
Yes.
79 or something.
79.
Yeah. At the bottom.
There are some resolutions that you need to make before you can make these resolutions, so perhaps could work through those ones first, the revenue financing policy.
You want me to do the recommendations before we move to that?
Well, we will start with, you have to receive the report.
Yeah, I'll go through those one by one.
The other thing I omitted to say was that there is a resolution there to revoke the resolution that was passed around the Whangmata
Correct. Yep.
social development budget. That's in the resolution.
I'll read those out as we go through them. Okay, so we're going to go to the recommendations. So, so the Thames-Coromandel District Council, I'll read this out one at a time and we'll get a mover in a second.
Yeah, page number.
Sorry,
please.
page 130. So 1, receives the adoption of the 2024-34 long-term plan and the 2024-25 schedule of fees and charges, reported date 6th of June 2024. Have a mover, Martin, seconder.
I'm happy to move.
Josh? Is that Robin?
Yes.
Second, okay. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Number 2, revokes the following resolution passed at the 21-22 May 2024 meeting. 2, that in respect of the governance activity of the Whangmata Local Social Development budget of $30,000 in year 1 and 2 and 3 of the Whangmata Information Centre be added to the 2024-34 long-term plan to be funded from local rates. And I'll carry on to 3 at the same time. Notes that the $30,000 in year 1, 2 and 3 of the Whangmata Information Centre allocated to the governance activity Whangmata Local Social Development budget has been removed from the 2024-34 long-term plan budgets. Do you have a mover for that? Dally? And Rika? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Number 4. Yes.
I think this is the point where we would include this new resolution to revoke the second resolution.
Can we have it up on, can you read it out or?
Apologies. It's taking a while to get from my computer to Ari's computer.
Okay.
The resolution will become 3A, if you like. That the council revokes the following resolution passed at the 21st to 22nd May 2024 meeting. 1, that in respect of the parks and open spaces activity, the budget of 21. No, it's the wrong one.
That's not right. 64, I think it is.
64.
Mr. Chair, I wonder if we team, do we want just 5 minutes to get this sorted?
Yeah.
So I just wonder if we could take
just take a pause for 5 minutes and we'll just get this tidied up and we'll carry on. Okay. Sure.
So it's not a resolution.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. We could do that one, yeah. So just while they're doing that, councillors, we'll move to the Community Services Report, which is on page 292. It's fairly quick and easy, and we should be able to walk through that. 292.
Leslie and Kathy, your microphone's still on.
Okay. So 2.4, I'll just get the 2.4 in my book. 292, page 292. So this is around the Community Services Award, where there's been, it used to be they came to council offices and had a morning tea here as a large event. Now we moved it back into a more of a community board thing, and I think the recommendation is to continue along those lines where 2 people are selected from the community board and a small morning tea, and Mayor is presenting and gives it a localism approach, and local families and friends can come in and enjoy that morning tea. So any discussion before I go to the recommendation? Yes, Martin.
I seem to remember that we give medals to the 2 people, but then we also gave, I think one community board, it might have been the Thames Community Board, gave certificates to the people who were nominated.
Correct.
But
I think that was the case.
I can't remember whether we were rolling that out across.
Yeah, I'm not sure even
boards?
medals have been made, have they? Nothing's been. Yeah, so I think certificates and medals were the situation then. I'm not too sure where we're going now, but John.
Can I just clarify? I just want to try and understand this. That my understanding was that the last time a lot of these awards were driven by the mayor and not through the community boards, through the recommendation. So this is a change to that process, or will it be in addition to that?
Yeah, to talk to that, and I've been through several of these over the times. So there was a bit of a rush at the end for the last mayor to give away a few of them because there was quite a few made. But prior to that, these were very much organised by the community boards, and people had to come and provide the information, and they selected the 2, whether they came to the Thames or they stayed in then the community board. So there was a bit of a rush at that last moment to.
So my interest in raising this is around the credibility of the awards and the need for it to go through a robust process to ensure that we maintain a quality in the decisions that we're making for the people. So it's just an opportune time to raise that, I think, in regard to this. So if this is defining down a process where the nominations will be made and endorsed for a limited number of these at a community board level, it will have my 100% support. If it's something where a random decision can be made because we have an oversupply of these, then I would be very reluctant to endorse that.
I agree totally. And if you work it out, there's 2 every 2 years times the 5 community boards. It's not hard to make them the right number of stuff. Or if you go to a certificate, not hard to do so. Martin.
Yes, completely agree with what John said there. I just had a query about on page 296, it talks about the eligibility, and the middle bullet point says, awards will not be made where nominees have been rewarded in some other form by recognition, presentation of alternative honour, by organisation or service award, or by payment of wages for services rendered. I kind of get the payment of wages for services rendered, but it's highly likely if someone is going to get this award that their own organisation might have made them a life member, or they might have got a certificate or something there. So I would just question having that, because I don't see
Yes, I agree with you
totally.
totally.
That. And just if someone gets made a QSM or whatever they have,
shouldn't stand in the way if somebody's done a lot of voluntary work. So
that's just my thought.
Yeah, I think when they're making judgments around the community boards, they will certainly take this into consideration.
Could I add to that? I would potentially also question the element of payment. So if you think of national honours, the government honours and so on, they are awarded to people who do get paid for doing their job. They get awarded to gynecologists who discover this or whatever it might be. So I'm not sure that because somebody gets remunerated for the job they do, should exclude them from necessarily a service award, because I can think of people around town who do. Anyway.
Understand, and I think I hear what you're saying too, but I think we're looking into their voluntary support. It's a volunteer type award. So if they've been paid for previous things and they're doing stuff in the community, then we've had a situation with one of the guys was a councillor and then he went on to do a lot of community service stuff over the next 20 years of his life. So that's what was judged on, not what he did previous to that. So I think that's the focus of it. And I think community boards really understand when he's come to the table that that guy or that person or that lady really fits that bill. So I think they've got the understanding of their communities to be quite, fair about this. So, Rika.
I'm sure we can we get our hands on sort of who has received this from our communities over the last few years?
Yes, we can. We have that information available.
Perfect, that'd be great, thank you.
It certainly helps. Okay, any more discussion? We're going to go to the recommendations. Okay, here we go.
Just through the chair, can I just clarify, are we wishing to remove that bullet point?
About?
The one that Councillor Rodley raised.
Oh, raised.
The bullet point from my report.
Well, I agree that we should, really. Are you happy with that? Because it really does sort of stem you down what you're trying to achieve, and that shouldn't be part of it, what they've received in the past.
I would like to raise that, yes, we remove the third bullet point.
Would you like to second that?
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favour?
We can put it as part of the recommendation.
Yeah, well, I think that's in keeping with what you're saying, Terry.
Yeah.
The community boards kind of know the way this should work, and so letting them make their call, I think is a good one. Yep.
You happy with that? You happy with that? Okay, so here we go to the recommendations. And I'm going to roll these out as one, so I'll go quickly through them. Receives the 2024 Community Service Awards dated 6th of June 2024. Approves 2 Community Service Awards for each community board area to be considered and appointments made by the community board of each area. Approves the eligibility criteria of the Community Board Service Awards. Approves the following timeframes. Inform the community boards of their July of the Community Board Service Award process. Advertised in the 2024 Community Service Awards by Friday the 26th of July 2024. Close nominations after 6 weeks at 4 p.m. on Friday the 23rd of August 2024. Community Boards considers, reviews and nominates and confirms the awards at the September round of the Community Board meetings, and recipients receive their awards from each of the Community Board's October round of the meetings. Do I have a mover?
Through the chair, including that we will remove the bullet point from the eligibility criteria, as well as the nomination form, which is in regards to the awards will not be made where nominees have been rewarded in some other form or form for their services by recognition, by presentation. That bullet point. We will
bullet
remove
point
that
6, number 4.
And I think, that's also on the nomination form.
It is on the nomination form, yes, which we will amend.
Rika, move. Second.
No, one quick
Rika,
question.
word.
Are these dates right? Because the 26th of July to the 23rd of August doesn't feel like that would be 6 weeks.
July. Could be.
6 weeks?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay.
I think you could be right. Let's just do a quick check.
Close.
That would be 4.
Yeah, 5
maybe.
and a half.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we just might want to look at those dates,
Okay.
but I'm happy to move.
Happy to move. Seconder. Dally. All those in favour? Against?
Yeah.
Carried. Thank you. Okay, thanks for that. We've ticked that one off. We'll go back now. Are you people ready?
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, can I have if I can jump into this conversation? So deliberations, as we remember, was a little bit messy at certain points. The vote I listened to earlier, we had jumped back to a vote while we were crafting the resolution, and that's what I listened to passing. I've gone back and double checked that, and the motion that was tabled in regards to the 64,000 over 3 years was lost 7-3. The minutes are correct. The LTP is correct. There is an error in the report, which we will acknowledge, but we can carry on as we were. I do have the recording here if you do want it played.
Let's hear the recording. Well, I think we should understand correctly exactly what's going on here, because we're of mixed opinions of what's going on. Well, I think it's, yeah.
Let's see if this works.
Yes.
Those in favour? Those against? Aye. Yay. Looks like the motion is lost. Thank you, Mark. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brian. That clarifies that. Right. Recordings, it tells you what goes on. Okay, so what does that mean? We just carry on?
It just means you can carry on and note that, note the error in my report.
Right.
That it is an error.
Yes.
If Harry would make that note, she'll change my report.
Okay, I just got to go back 2.4.
Thank you for checking that out for us. We appreciate it.
Would have been better if I did it well the first time.
Oh, we're back to page 129
Yes, with no additional
with no additional.
resolution.
Okay. We go back to 129. Okay, so we got up to number 4. So no 3A, so we'll move on with number 4, which adopts the revenue and financing policy for inclusion in the 2024-34 long-term plan. Do I have a mover? John.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Robin. All in favour? Against? Carried. Number 5, adopts the financial strategy for inclusion in the 2024-34 long-term plan. Do I have a mover? John. A seconder?
Yep, I'll do it.
All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Number 6, adopts the infrastructure strategy for inclusion in the 2024-34 long-term plan. Have a mover? Martin, Daly. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Number 7, adopts the 2024-25 schedule of fees and charges. Do I have a mover? Daly and John. All in favour? Aye. Against? Passed. Number 8, adopts the 2024-34 long-term plan having met the legislative requirements under Section 93 of the Local Government Act 2002, including using the special consultative procedure engaged with the public on the long-term plan consultation document and having considered the feedback received. Peter moved, Rika second. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. And number 9, delegates the authority to the Group Manager, Regulatory and Planning to make minor editorial changes as required for publication of the 2021-31 long-term plan. Is that right? Yeah. That's right. No, Rick. No. I thought that was wrong. Ooh. Thank you. We'll just change that around. Just make sure that is the 2024-34, please.
We'll need to make a change.
Who's moving that? John and you, Rika. All those in favour with that amendment? Aye. Against? Carried. So thank you very much to staff and for putting this together and the efforts taken into it. It is, like we say, this is the plan for the future. We're now got to execute it. I'm just going to go around the table and ask comment quickly. We're not going to go into it long. Is there your feelings about how it's gone?
I'm happy to kick off.
Yeah.
Look, I'd just like to say a huge thanks to staff. I've worked in many corporate organisations with finance teams, and the degree of professionalism, your willingness to work and make sure we understand the process, I think is testament to a very robust process, and one that I have appreciated really deeply. So I just wanted to say thank you. It's been a process that is way above my expectation in regard to how it was executed. So thanks very, very much. I would also like to add that in saying that, I'm also personally quite disappointed with aspects of the long-term plan, because things have been included in this plan that I don't personally agree with. But I would also add that that is democracy, and it is democracy at work. So been an interesting exercise.
Thank you. Any other comments around the table? Peter?
Yeah, look, I'd echo John's earlier comments. It's been an outstanding process for us to go through and being guided in the way that we have. I would also ask that Kate be acknowledged for her role in the early stages. She did a fantastic job while she was here, and if she can be acknowledged in that as well. On the flip side, I think it's just crazy. We have to go through this every 3 years, and I think if there's anything that we can do as a council to bend the arm of central government that releases us from such a huge burden so frequently, it would be to the benefit of us all. It'll be to the benefit of ratepayers in terms of the costs that are involved around all that and what have you. So that's, I guess, in saying that, I'm acknowledging what a phenomenal volume of work this has been for everybody, and if we do get that opportunity to affect change, then we should do that.
Yeah, I'll just go around. Rika, you've got to say something?
Oh, I can only just echo the comments of the previous two speakers and just really say thank you. It always amazes me that with patience and grace, you constantly, all of the staff will sit and explain things to us. We've all got different backgrounds, different levels of understanding, and sometimes I think you must want to walk out of here and bang your head on the wall, but you do treat us all with a lot of respect, and we thank you for the time and effort. This has been a huge task, and Peter is right. You sort of think, oh, phew, but I know that you're probably already thinking about the annual plan. Yeah. Yes, and the annual report. So I can just, I just want to thank you all, and I know the crux of a lot of the work has been here, but it's everybody in this room. All of the staff have been a huge contributor, so thank you.
Dali.
Stole some of my main points there. Very disappointed about that. Yes, I was going to emphasise the fact that we do have very different backgrounds and quite often lay people in the sense of making really big financial decisions, and appreciate the patience, but also the agility of the team, your agility to pivot and to create resolutions and to find out information, to do detective sleuthing on the point of a pinhead. Yeah, great team, awesome piece of work. Well done, everybody.
Martin, you'd like to say something?
Just really what everyone else has said, and particularly appreciated Brian Taylor's role in this. It was a different process from the previous LTP. Loved the steak. We can do the steak again next time if we're all here. Yes, and yeah, just thanks everyone.
John, like to say a few words?
Yep, no thanks, Terry. I've done a couple of 3 or 4 of these things, and they're always harrowing, but that's not the staff, that's the councillors, myself included, that make them that way. But no, it went well. I appreciated your comments, John. The standard met was up to corporate level. And yeah, no, it went pretty smoothly. Somebody that's done more of these than me, and that's Adrian Catron, actually made a comment this morning that it was a lot smoother than some of the ones we sat through back in the early 2000s. So thanks to the staff, you did a great job.
Robin, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, as the lucky last, I think a lot of what I have in my heart has been said, and heartfelt thanks to everybody who's put in effort. I think the one staff member who hasn't been specifically acknowledged yet, and is well deserving, is our chief executive, who's really held us steady through this whole process, but has also managed to keep the rest of council rocking along without too many bumps. So thank you, Aileen. But I can't say thank you enough to the team that is sitting in front of you there, but everybody else in the background. It's been really nice to know that while sometimes it feels as an elected membership, we've been not we've been flailing and trying to understand, and we've had the steady hand to guide us through. And so thank you all so much. It's been excellent. It's been much better than the previous, and I do look forward to the next one. Thank you.
And I would say Len also echoes those words passed around the table today. I know he's listening in and he's not feeling the best, but I'm sure he would like to pass on his congratulations. There he goes. He's giving you the things up. Yeah, without coughing. Yeah, no coughing. So well done. Yeah, we'll pass them on, Len. And I'd like to say too that I really appreciate the effort that goes. I too will put my head in and think another 18 months are going to start this all over again, and you think, wow, this is just a big process for us. And really what you've done is you've made the plan, now we've got to execute it. And I took around and look at Mo and think, now you've got a job ahead of you. You've got a really good plan to go by. I hope you've got the resources to make it happen. So again, thank you to all, and it's a moment that we move forward today, and let's see how successful it is. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to move on from that to the rates, and you're going to stay for that. Donna, come forward.
So we have the adoption of the development contribution.
Oh yeah, do that. Yeah, Donna. Sorry, yeah, Donna. So we're going to page 206, and that is the adoption of the development contributions policy and remissions, postponement of rates, and the Māori freehold land policy. I'll just myself there. 206. Okay. Thank you. I've read this several times, this development contribution policy. It's quite a major policy, really, in council. It has an effect on most things that we do. Would you like to say a few words about it before we go into it at all?
Yeah, the overall policy hasn't changed to the last LTP. We added a piece in for sustainability and just updated the actual charges based on the CapEx list that's in the LTP.
Right. Donna, want to say anything?
No, that's fine. That's just what Hayden said is correct. It's just what we do every year. That's the appendices in the policy that get changed to line up with whatever the capital work program is in regards to the additional capacity projects that we have in there.
Right, and everyone just goes to one page when they read it. That's how much money is going to cost them in the area. So,
that's right.
And it fluctuates around a little bit, as you'll see. I remember 4 or 5 years ago, it was 43,000 in Whangataa, and I see Thames is 34 now, so its cost for infrastructure is big. Did you want to comment on this before we go to the second part of this, Peter?
Yeah, I just with the Thames development contribution being at 34,000, which is massive, is that because driven by what we're saying needs to be done in Totara Valley primarily and the water treatment plant, the two big ticket items?
Oh, the two big ticket items, yeah.
Okay, thank
They
you.
come at a cost, don't they? Okay, so thank you. We'll go through these 1, 2, 3, but also talk about the remission and postponement of the rates on Māori freehold land. Would you like to comment on that before we go to that?
Just the only comment I just would make is that normally we wouldn't be reviewing it at this LTP because this policy is a 6-year, has a 6-year cycle. The reason why we did bring it through this time is because when we adopted the policy with the last LTP, within a month after that, new legislation came through. And although our policy we did know the legislation was coming, and we wrote it in that vein, I just wanted to make it more clear now that I'd read the legislation, and just to provide more clarity in the policy for people that are using that remission. So that's what the changes were.
Right. Okay. Any comment around the table about this? One comment I've got is people ask me, and I don't know, if there's a treaty settlement and the land that's gifted with that, is that rateable or not rateable?
Yeah, I believe it is rateable.
It is rateable, okay. So any comments? Okay, we'll go to the recommendations then. So I'm going to read these out. So the Thames-Coromandel District Council, number 1, receives the adoption of the Development Contributions Policy and the remissions and postponement of the rates on Māori freehold land policy, reported date 5th of June 2024. I'll read the whole 3 of them. Adopts the Development Contributions Policy effective 1 July 2024. And 3, adopts the remissions and postponement of rates on Māori freehold land policy effective 1 July 2024. Do I have a mover? Dally. Do I have a seconder? Martin. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. You'll stay here for the rates?
Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. So we're going to page 281. Right. 3. No, I'm not reading this out. But there are some movers and seconders required on this, is that right? We have to move and second into this? Okay. Yeah, we'll go through this. Okay, so yeah, over to you again, Hayden and Donna. You want to speak to this?
So through the chair, I just want to say that this is probably the most important decision or document that you'll be signing off on today, because this sets our rates for the next financial year. This is basically how we have rated, and is in line with all our rating mechanisms, how the different rates that we have, what that is, and that's how has been applied to the LTP and across to set our rates for all our ratepayers in the district. So it is a very important document, and it's very critical that we get it right.
Okay, any comment, John?
So another way of looking at that is that with these rates being applied, it will achieve the OPEX requirements of the long-term plan.
Yes, that's correct. So that's how we start. We start with the budgets, and then we apply other revenue sources other than rates that we've got across that, and then whatever's left basically gets funded for by rates, and that's how it's calculated. And this is the culmination of that.
Peter.
Thanks. As we go into this decision, I think it would be appropriate for us to acknowledge that it's tough out there, that we live in a district which the demographic tells us there are a lot of people on fixed incomes, which don't move very much at all. We're living in an environment where we're finding out every day about indicators that things are tough. We hear of families where income earners are losing jobs. When the warehouse does a profit downgrade, that's a bit of a bellwether for what's happening in the retail sector. When you talk to the businesses in town, they are acknowledging that business is not the way it was 12 months ago, and they're sort of hanging out for 2025. Car sales are down, and interest rates are up. And we probably all know of businesses where when various decisions get made, it impacts the business. I've just one here in town which had a 3-year contract related to the rebuilding of the ferry terminal in Wellington, which is now not going ahead. And that creates a problem for them. So I think we just need to be cognizant and acknowledge that it's tough out there, and that the decision that we make today is unfortunately not going to be great news in that kind of environment. And we therefore don't take this decision that we're making. We shouldn't take it lightly, and just acknowledge that this is more, if you like, more bad news. Obviously, there is a good news side. The good news is that we have a fantastic long-term plan. We've got a fantastic plan for the next 12 months, and that the rate decision is going to enable us to deliver some good things for our people, and we need to keep our eyes on that. That's probably all I want to say at this point.
And I think your words are harked by the Deputy Prime Minister the other day. Things are going to be pretty tough for a little while, and we need to cut our cloth to suit. So, yeah. Okay, any other comments? Okay, so I'm going to go to the recommendations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read 1 and 2, and then I'm going to ask for a move and second for the whole lot. And that is going through the different rating options, and that way I don't have to read the whole lot. So 1, receives the setting of the rates of 2024-25, reported date 6th of June 2024. 2, setting the following rates under the Local Government Rating Act 2002, LGRA, on rating units in the district for the financial year commencing 1 July 2024 and ending on 30th of June 2025. So, note all statutory references are to the LGRA. All amounts are GST inclusive. So we go under there, we're going to talk about the general rate, the uniform annual general charge, the targeted rate for solid waste collection, the targeted rate for Waianae flood protection loan, the targeted rates for land drainage, targeted rates for local works and services. Keep going over. Targeted rate for wastewater, targeted rates for wastewater loan charges, Whangapawa Road, targeted rates for wastewater loan charges, Cooks Beach existing users, targeted rates for wastewater loan, Hahei wastewater extension, targeted rates for stormwater, and 12, targeted rates for water supply, targeted rates for water supply loan Coromandel, targeted rates for water supply loan Hahei water extension, targeted rate for economic development, targeted rate for district transportation and building control, targeted rate for Hahei water development contributions payment plan, targeted rate for Hahei wastewater development contributions payment plan. 18. Is that it? That's it? Okay. Who would like to move that? I have a question. Okay. Martin.
Oh, do we want to get a seconder before I ask my question?
I'll second it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Halfway down page 285 for, which is number 10, targeted rate for wastewater loan Hahei, that's 2,258.90. Is that correct? Just seems a very, very large number.
It's a loan repayment.
It's a loan repayment over 10 years.
10 properties.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got a move by Martin, seconded by John. Peter, would you like to comment?
Yeah, just a question. So we've already agreed that we're going to undertake a rate review. What impact will that have on this?
So through the chair, that won't have any impact on this. This is for the first year. Yeah. This is for only this coming financial year only.
of the LTP. When you go to do your annual plan process, that will affect, that's when we would set the rates for the next year and the year after. And so the rating review, it would depend what the outcome of that rating review, when it was completed, as to what year it would kick in.
So it's likely that it wouldn't be for next year. I mean, just the time taken in the rating review, it's unlikely that it would be in the next, the 25, 26 year, be beyond that probably.
It depends how quickly we move, we move with it, but I'd say that would be very ambitious, but it's something that we
Sure.
We'll get into that when we get to actually doing it. With the complexity of the rates that we've got at the moment and the work that would need to be done, and the decisions that you would need to make as councillors, yeah, I would say that it would be unlikely, but anything's possible.
Happy? Okay. Righto. So we're going to move this. So we've had a mover and a seconder, and we'd like to say all those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Okay, so we've moved on there. We've got a little bit more time before we can have a break. So we'll go to page 300, which is the response to the Chief Ombudsman open for business report. And that is number 2.4. Ariana, if you can just brief us, please.
Yep, certainly. Through the Chair, we are asking Council to consider a proposed framework for open and closed workshops. We are recommending option 1, that with open workshops, the venues will be open to the public to listen, and we would publish the open workshop topics and workshop notes, as well as notify when the workshops are.
Thank you. We've read and looked at this. Is it any comments around this? This is an Ombudsman approach for us to re-look at our procedures and make it more open and transparent. And so this is an option 1 they're considering. Is there any comment?
Yes, I just note on page 303 under the proposed framework, it's got reasons for a closed workshop, Mayor, Councillor and or Chief Executive only sessions. So they're allowable within that.
Yes.
The Ombudsman has said that they can be.
Yep, closed sessions.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, right, thank you.
Yep. Comment, Peter.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. So firstly, do we have any estimate or thumb and suck as to what additional resource is going to be required?
Only, through the Chair, only in regards to some of the notifications that we would have to put out that we've put on page 305, which just sort of lists some of the additional costs that will incur. So we have there 500 per month. There may be a cost to storage for any recordings that we may do on a case-by-case basis. But yes, just the cost that is showing there. Until we actually start progressing this and implementing it, I can't really answer that question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Have you not finished? Sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
oh,
sorry.
no.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm a little bit grumpy because we used to have workshops and I don't feel that they were incredibly expensive. We would just have workshops where staff would brief us online or in person. We were kind of told that we weren't allowed to have workshops anymore and they were changed to networking days. And then suddenly networking days became all bells, full brass band, trips out, visits, some of which I believe, I'll own this, were of questionable relevance. And now we're talking about workshops again, which I feel would probably be cheaper. But I sort of don't understand the process that we've been through to get where we are today. I'm happy for workshops to be open. I don't know that they need to be all bells and whistles recorded and 43 staff online and all of the accoutrement and people driving over the Kopekawai to come and visit us. So I'm just a bit grumpy about the way things have changed in the last 10 and a half, 11 years that I've been in local government, and want a little bit more clarity around what this would look like and would it be cheaper than the bells and whistles, networking days that we've been having. Sorry, grumpy.
That's all right, Dally. Peter? No?
Oh, I'm happy to follow after you, Peter.
Thanks, Dally. That's something to think about. I know this is something that is particularly of interest to Councillor Gottlieb, and I have been in communication with Councillor Gottlieb on this particular matter. He has received the paper and he is fully behind it. His one question he has raised is, and just I'd be asking for an answer if possible on that, but where in option 1 we are talking about having a record of closed workshops, that a record should be kept. I'm looking at page 304. Councillor Gottlieb would be asking why would we not be able to keep have a recording of those closed workshops as well.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to find a procedure that works and that will be tweaked to suit, I'm sure. And I hear what Dally's saying around the network meetings versus the original community board meetings. They're sort of split into two, but now this is sort of bringing process back to following procedures, which cost more money. So how we can bring them together and make that less accountable or less costly is something that we need to work on. But I think it's transparency is really what was the key thing the Ombudsman was about. And I don't know if you want to comment on that at all, Ari, but...
Yes, sure. So in option 2, you can see the disadvantages. So particularly with the recording, there is additional requirements and there's additional costs involved with recording. And sometimes we experience some technical difficulties. But also the idea of having a closed workshop would pretty much work the same as a public excluded session. You would have to have the grounds as to why we would be excluding the public, and we do not record the public excluded sessions. So we still provide notes, we still have notes that are kept, but we would work the same way as we do with a formal meeting.
Right, so there's a consistency there between what we're proposing and what is the current practice with regards our formal council meetings, etc., with public excluded.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comment?
Yeah, thanks, Terry. And I know you all know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is not mandatory. This is a recommendation only from the Ombudsman. It does incur cost, and that cost, I think, won't be insignificant in staff time and recording. I've always valued workshops as a place to have a full and frank discussion with everybody, not worrying about what was going to be said and go out to the public forum. We all know we've played by the rules. We haven't made decisions. We don't get to decision stage at those workshops. That's done at the full council meeting. And I think to lose that ability to be full and frank with each other is something that I'm not particularly happy about, actually. I believe that this is another, it's supposed to be looking like democracy, but I think it's a noose around our necks, and I am not happy with it. And I'm going to fly it, and let's see what happens. So I'm moving option 3, status quo, do nothing. If I have a seconder, that's great. If anybody else feels that way, but I'm moving it.
Okay, John, thank you. So before we get on, have we got a seconder? Robin, have you got your hand up?
I had my hand up to sort of make a point, and I don't want to go quite as far as John. Can I make my point and then?
Just hold on. Just if we haven't got a seconder, then we'll.
I'll second it. Let's test this.
Okay, so Robin has seconded the motion. So you'd like to say something now as well?
Yeah, so I wanted to acknowledge that this is a really tricky space for our governance to work in, because yes, there has been this recommendation from the Ombudsman about it, but I think part of the work that they need to do is also to provide us with a safe space to be able to have difficult conversations, not in private as such, because we can't, we are transparent, and we do have accountability to people who've live in this district and work in this district and play in this district. But I think that there is, I actually think the option one works relatively well in terms of doing that. But I just wanted to sort of raise concerns that actually we do need the safety to be able to have difficult conversations as a group ourselves without a lot of scrutiny. And I really welcome people coming to our meetings. We've got a regular attendee to our Thames Community Board meeting who comes and listens and takes notes, and I absolutely appreciate the time and value that she puts into the community board meetings, because we have a duty for that. But I think we do, without it just being councillor only time as described on page 304, I think it is, we do need to be able to have a safe space to be able to talk. But having said that, I'm really happy to test option 3, get it out of the way.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want a quick comment before I go to Delhi, is that I think if we come together as a meeting, we should be transparent and honest. So I've got no problem with having a meeting and talking the talk as it should. And I just think that's what the Ombudsman's trying to get, is that we have some transparency for our ratepayers to see that we are being democratic or being open and honest about our issues. So I think it's worth looking at, and I also believe that we should start off with just the recording of notes and without the technology, because some of the areas certainly have poor technology and it would be difficult. Anyway, so Delhi?
Yeah, tautoko, Terry. So we're going to call them workshops again, because we had this big thing about the language around it, and we weren't allowed to call them workshops. So, okay, if we're going to call them workshops again, it was networking days, and the word workshop was frowned upon.
When we are discussing the proposed framework, we are including networking as part of that. So networking, briefings,
workshops,
whatever
any organised
forms of names.
Yeah. So I have no problem with going back to the terminology of workshops / networking days, advertising them, making them open to the public. I don't think we need to have 43 staff members making sure we're not doing anything illegal, and having minuted notes. But I don't see that they need to be live streamed or up on YouTube or anything else. People might just want to come along and see what we're up to. And of course, if something is commercially sensitive or otherwise, then we just have to say, sorry guys, we're getting in a briefing, we're just going to have to do that privately. So it's kind of I don't know, is that a modified, which of those? Is it a 1-3 hybrid? Yeah, I don't know.
You want Aileen can add some?
I just wanted to add into the mix 2 risks. So firstly, the thing that we've really appreciated through the LTP process has been the ability to be agile and have a workshop quite quickly when something arises that we've got to, talk to councillors about. And a lot of that a lot of the time there, that's a kind of an upskilling. Something happens and we need to tell you about it so you can think it through before we make decisions on it. So that's been really important. So from a staff perspective, we're keen to ensure that we have the agility to continue to do that. And the more process that gets wrapped around these things, yes, it's cost, but it's also agility. The second point I just wanted to make was a risk around information. So when you see the agenda come out, this is the agenda, the public agenda is owned by the Chief Executive. The accountability for what is in here sits on my shoulders. When we sign one of these off, we go through it very carefully to look at, is information commercially sensitive? Should it be confidential? Should we have stuff included in there? There's also Privacy Act risks for council, and these again sit on my shoulders. So an agenda is reviewed for anything that might infringe any kind of privacy rules and provisions. So when it comes to workshops, up till now, we haven't really made those kind of considerations. We've just given you all the papers and not really tested it for those types of aspects. So from here on in, we will need to be testing in advance of workshops the kind of area we might traverse in case we stumble into something that breaches any of the privacy or confidentiality rules. So it's another layer of consideration going into those meetings. So I just wanted to put those on record that there is some risk created around those aspects in workshops where we previously haven't even given any consideration.
Thank you, Aileen. And I accept that too. I also accept that transparency is something that we really need to focus on, and I think that's the other side of it too.
Yeah, I agree.
John.
Look, I actually think we have a really robust process that operates at the moment. If we need to be on the record, then it should go through the community board or council process. And I think the workshop opportunity is one of sharing ideas, and as part of that process, it's probably healthy that they're not on the record because you're just discussing things in a informal environment. And I think if we try to go into a process of turning a workshop into a formal meeting where things are recorded, then it changes the dynamics and structure significantly. Yeah. So I support John in regard to this, and I think that it's sort of healthy for the status quo to remain.
Delhi.
But I will clarify that my grumpiness was around community board workshops. I understand that council has workshops, but that whole change around the community board networking days and the bells and whistles and the field trips and all that sort of stuff, yeah, that was where my grumpiness was.
Okay.
Just before you do that,
yes.
I was going to claim my right to, as the last speaker, to speak to the motion, but you go and speak.
My hand is up as well.
Support.
I'll wait. Don't forget you.
Support. And I was going to suggest that perhaps we put John and Robin's motion to the vote.
To the vote. Okay. Yeah, so you've got so Martin before John. Yes, thank you, Martin, quickly.
So I can't support Councillor Morrissey's resolution. We still have the option for Mayor, Councillor and or Chief Executive only sessions.
Yeah.
I do wonder whether there was any consideration given to community board only sessions being included in that.
What I'd expect community boards to, around workshop and networking meetings, to be allow local public involvement or come in to attend. And that's really the key around them. Not suppose that they can have a closed session. I'm sure they could have a closed session. It was more about when they were discussing issues around that the public could see the transparency about what's been discussed.
Yeah, no, I mean, my question was more if we're having a councillor only closed session, can we have a community board only closed session?
They do their own...
Because they're elected members.
Yeah, but they do their own thing outside of an organised meeting at any rate. They get together and have a chat over coffee and things like that. So,
but that's even less transparent. Sorry.
That's
Can
just
I
a chat.
finish off another?
Yeah.
And I'm the first to admit that whether they're networking meetings or workshops or forums or briefings, they can sometimes be a little loose. And after hearing what Aileen said about how the agenda and the content might have to be reviewed, I would be, a little bit worried because someone suddenly will say, oh, what about such and such? And all of a sudden you're discussing something in a workshop that's being recorded that the staff are sitting there going, oh, they look a bit startled. At the very, very last point, yes, I know that we often have staff online, but I imagine the vast majority of staff that are online have got their headphones on, sitting, working, doing their other work, and are there so that we can say, oh, actually, can we just check with the roading manager or check with the waste person, and bang, they're there. We don't have to sit around waiting for them to get dragged out of meetings and things. So I value that we have them online. Great that they don't have to travel, but I'm aware that we're probably not taking up their whole morning because they're doing other work.
So can I just ask for clarity? So, Martin, based on what you're saying there, are you supporting this resolution, or where are you landing on that?
I don't support the status quo. I think we do have to take note of the Ombudsman's recommendation.
Okay, so John.
Thank you. Terry did just touch on something that I was thinking about while Aileen was speaking, and that I do wonder, as the devil's advocate here, if we make the workshops very prescriptive and it becomes harder and we don't feel safe in making those decisions and having those tough conversations, whether we're actually going to sort of, the unintended consequence of that is elected members getting together over coffees or going out to dinner together when we're staying over and making decisions well outside the chamber. And so I did just wonder if that had ever, was that something that was considered as part of this report, and is that something that the elected members also feel is something worth thinking about?
Okay, thank you, Robin. John?
Thanks for the right of reply to my motion, or speaking to my motion, I should say. A lot of what I've said has already been covered, but I'll just reiterate it. Workshops are a valuable space to discuss items. As was pointed out by the CEO, that stands a very good chance of being constricted because of the fact that we might breach something that shouldn't be breached. It's full and frank discussions and those things, decisions are not made. You can't outlaw something, and Robin just brought up a very good point. If we can't speak freely and frankly at workshops, where are you going to speak freely and frankly? Is it going to be over a cup of coffee without everybody involved? Is it going to be a select group here, a select group there? I believe that workshops are precious. They're a place for us to speak freely and frankly without worrying about breaching something that's been publicly excluded. I actually hope you just think very seriously before you lose this very special ability to have those discussions. And we already have, I know Councillor Gottlieb is a real supporter of the Ombudsman's recommendations. He does a very good job in those workshops of keeping us on track. You don't come anywhere near a decision or anything with Gary around the table, and that's great because it doesn't help to be reminded. So I hope that enough of you are thinking about what we may be about to lose and actually will support me around the table.
Thank you, John. I'll just finish before we put the motion. I just believe that workshops should be open, should be discussed, and should be allowed to be.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. I believe that I was given the last right to speak to my motion, understanding orders, and I don't believe anybody else can speak to it after that. I may be incorrect. I'd look for guidance from governance on that one.
Put the motion.
Okay, let's put the motion then for Mr. Morrissey. So all those in favour of option three
to do nothing.
Yeah, please raise your hand.
hold one
It
second.
is Robin's part moved it, so
Robin.
1, 2.
Well, no,
Robin,
I'm
are you,
no, I'm abstaining from this one.
you can't abstain.
So 5
I
votes,
can.
right, and against? 1, 2, 2. So the motion is 3.
What about Len? Is Len online?
No, Lynn's gone. That's it.
I'm happy with him not being there.
Okay, the motion is
Guys, thank
passed.
you.
So,
Thank you for listening. I know. Thank you for listening.
you don't need to do this in.
John, even when we don't agree with you, we do listen.
We're good, we're good. That's the option we went.
Okay.
We're good.
We just carry on, but we do option 4 instead of option 1. Option 3, sorry.
Yeah. We may want to just receive the report too,
Yeah.
because we haven't done that one.
Okay, so we're just going to do this and stop for a cup of tea. So we're just getting this right. Okay, so that the Thames-Coromandel District Council receives the response to the Chief Ombudsman opened for business report dated 7th June 2024 and approves option 3 and agrees to the framework around the open and closed workshops. Is that enough? Want to do more? How to say?
Yeah, through the chair, we've done a vote on the status quo.
Yeah.
I'm just asking that we receive the report because we didn't.
Oh, we just have to
actually
do more. Okay,
do
just
that.
receive the report.
Thank you.
And second by that, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, that's that.
Correct. Option
Option
3
3.
to do nothing was the
I did
motion
say option
that was
3 a
passed.
while ago. Okay, so we're going to adjourn for a morning
Could
tea.
I just say, Ari, thanks for your work on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of work on it. So we'll adjourn and return at 10:45. 10 minutes for my cup of tea. Guys, online?
Roger that.
10:45.
Thanks, Terry. Just to confirm that 5 voted for.